Humans have long been captivated by tales of supernatural creatures, ancient beasts, and marine monsters. However, myths might occasionally come to pass. This is the tale of three amazing finds that unearthed startling mysteries from the natural world. A fish that was believed to be extinct for millions of years, a gigantic squid that is the subject of the Kraken myth, and the frozen head of a prehistoric wolf. In South Africa, a friend is invited by a fishing boat captain to see his catch. Scientists worldwide are shocked by what she discovers. Marjorie Courtney Latimer is the curator of a tiny natural history museum in East London, South Africa, soon before Christmas 1938. She frequently visits her friend, a commercial fisherman, to look for interesting and unusual animal species to showcase at her museum. When something catches her eye, she begins to dig about after sticking her hands in these layers of slimy sea animals. This vivid blue fish, which is 5 feet long, has 4 fins that resemble arms. Despite having 30 years of professional fishing experience, the fishermen are unable to identify this fish. Marjorie is similarly perplexed, but she is determined to identify the species of this strange critter. She wishes to present this specimen to a knowledgeable fish expert. He is, however, on vacation and won't be back for weeks. She calls a local taxidermist because the fish's color is already beginning to shift from blue to gray due to sun exposure, and she is desperate to preserve it. It can only be saved in this manner. When the fish expert comes 8 weeks later, he is astounded by what he finds. As it happens, that fish is a recognized species. This species, known as a coelacanth, was believed to have gone extinct approximately 65 million years ago, coinciding with the extinction of the dinosaurs. Despite being the first discovered, this coelacanth is by no means the last. Experts discover and examine over 300 in the wild over the course of the following few decades, and they discover something amazing. Eventually, scientists discovered that they have a special method of moving across the ocean. The coelacanth swims by using some paddling of its front and back legs, almost like it's wading or strolling through the water, as opposed to swimming largely with its tail, as most bony fish do nowadays. According to some biologists, the first vertebrates to crawl out of the water were coelacanths. Hence, the progenitors of contemporary land animals. Coelacanths and all other tetrapods are genuinely genetically related. Therefore, everything related to horses, cats, and yes, even humans. The finding made by Marjorie Courtney Latimer is still regarded as the century's greatest zoological discovery. Even more astounding is the fact that if Marjorie hadn't been so determined to save and preserve this fish, it would have ended up on a table for Christmas dinner in 1938. It's amazing to rediscover an ancient species, but what if you discovered a true sea monster that shouldn't exist? A group of people has gathered around an object that washed up overnight as dawn breaks in a small Danish town. On the sand, a bizarre creature is dead. It's enormous. Its body is rather amorphous, and it possesses 2 enormous hazy eyes, a bony beak that looks like a bird's, and 10 long arms with mouth-like apertures and hooked, sharp teeth. This appears to be a sea monster to the people, and others, it resembles the legendary Kraken. The Kraken is a massive, multi-armed monster that has reportedly haunted the ocean for generations. It was notorious for destroying boats and pulling men to their deaths in the sea. The villagers are aware that this enormous carcass is fouling the shore, whether it is a kraken or not. They bury the remainder, with a few fishermen cutting off some to use as bait. However, a villager steals a memento: its beak. Japetus Steenstrup, a Norwegian scientist, receives the beak as a gift 3 years later. He is well aware of the legends surrounding the ferocious kraken. Thus, when Steenstrup manages to obtain what might be a fragment of a real kraken, he understands that he might be holding the elusive treasure trove of marine riddles. He recognizes right once that the beak he received resembles the beak of a squid, another species. Before consuming their meal, squids grind them up with their beaks. Steenstrup is also reminded of squids by the description of the sea monster from the beach. Both have 10 limbs overall and eyes that are abnormally huge. Additionally, some species have tiny hooks inside their suckers that resemble teeth to improve grip. The enormous squid, or Architeuthis, is a new genus of squid that Steenstrup announces to the world. This brings the story of the Kraken into line with scientific truth. But is the presence of a massive killer squid truly proven by a single beak and a hearsay account? Up until 1873, there was still discussion among the scientific community. Two men and a youngster are out fishing in Portugal Bay, Newfoundland, when they notice a massive, indeterminate lump floating in the sea. To draw the thing closer, they utilize a pole that has a hook on it. The beast roars to life as the hook's point pierces it, assaults the boat, and swings a huge tentacle over the side. The beast pulls back into the sea when the young member of the fishing crew slices off a portion of the tentacle with their tackle axe. After returning to the mainland, the men offer this 19-foot-long tentacle to a local preacher with a biological curiosity. A month later, a whole enormous squid is discovered entangled in the nets of another local fishing boat. The Reverend purchases the squid for $10 and takes a picture of the find. This is the first giant squid specimen ever found in the wild. It's proof that the fabled Kraken might exist. It also raises the question of what additional legendary animals might be found in the salty depths. In Yakutia, Siberia, Pavel Efimov is walking along the banks of a frozen river in search of mammoth ivory. Because it's a little bit simpler to dig into the dirt, he has waited until summertime to start his quest. Although it's a demanding job in a hostile setting, there are benefits. Only a couple can have Efimov set up for years, because a single tusk might sell for up to $20,000. Since he's not getting any results today, he makes the decision, okay, I'm gonna abort and go home. However, he notices what appears to be a clump of fur protruding from the ice as he decides to depart. Freezing over, Efimov begins to dig. It's not a tusk at all. Although its teeth are significantly smaller than those of a mammoth, it appears to be some kind of animal jaw. He finds a gigantic severed head when he cuts away at the ice. Upon closer examination, he discovers that it is the head of a wolf, even though it initially appears to be a dog. This head is enormous and extremely well preserved. Efimov compares the discovery to a terrifying animal that vanished 10,000 years ago, the dire wolf. The dire wolf was about a man's size, standing 6 feet tall and weighing 175 pounds, but it was far more powerful. Its bite alone was strong enough to take down prey many times its size, like mastodons and bison. So Efimov takes the head home with him, and he gets in contact with the Republic of Saka, Academy of Sciences. Efimov hands over the head to a biologist who's stunned by what he sees. When he measures the skull, it's 16 inches long, much bigger than any modern wolf head. The fur is so well preserved that the scientist thinks that there is no way this thing is 10,000 years old, so they send some samples away for carbon dating. It turns out he was right. It's not 10,000 years old, it's 40,000 years old. While the period still lines up with when dire wolves roamed the earth, none have ever been found in this area. After a lot of testing, it turns out that this isn't the head of a dire wolf, but it's a similar species of Pleistocene wolf that preyed on large animals. It's the first remains found of a well-preserved, fully grown wolf from the Pleistocene era. And this ancient find shows us that this wolf was much bigger and much deadlier than previously thought.